everyone, welcome to the Cosplay Crunch. Each week we sit down to talk about all things cosplay, including personal experiences, useful tips and advice, horror stories and hot takes, and sometimes the latest news and drama. I am your host, Zavage Cosplay, and this week on the podcast we have the beautifully talented, amazing, incredible, high energy,
too much
stunning,
compliments. No, that's
Jennybelly. Welcome, Jennybelly. Welcome.
Hi everyone. My name is Jennybelly. I am a full-time cosplayer. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
I am so happy that you were able to join. I know that now with your new cosplay jet setting, International Woman of Leisure lifestyle.
I have been traveling insanely, like so much. It is ridiculous. This is not what I expected when I started doing this whole time. I was like, oh yeah, cosplay is so fun. I did not expect all the like nonstop travel.
No, I love it. Okay, so we're definitely going to get into all of that. But first, we're going to take it all the way back to your beginning and your relationship with cosplay. Okay. So I know that you are not originally from Texas, correct?
I'm not. I'm actually from Los Angeles, born and raised. And that's actually where I started getting into cosplay. There is this like really big convention. You might have heard it. It's called Anime Expo.
What? Anime Expo?
What is
What's
that? Yeah. So, my friend was like a volunteer staff member for Anime Expo back in the day. And I've never even like heard of anime conventions or like knew that they existed. I was just like into anime, but like I didn't know like there was conventions for it. But like living in LA, my friend was like a volunteer staff member. So they were like, hey, this is really fun. I know you like anime. Do you want to come and like be a volunteer with me? And I was like, sure. Yeah, that sounds fun. You get like, basically if you volunteer for AX, you get like a free badge at the end of it.
Yeah.
If you work a certain amount of hours. So I was like, oh, it's a free way to like check out this convention. So I went and this was like 2007. So it was like early AX. It wasn't like as crazy as it was today, but it was still like kind of like a big deal because like
where was it? Was it at the anime the anime convention center? Oh my god.
The Los Angeles
where was
Convention
it?
Center.
Yeah.
So the year that normally it's at the Los Angeles Convention Center, but the year that I went as a volunteer, it was at the Long Beach Convention Center. So it was just like it was like 1 year they had this like different location for it. So I was volunteering at the Long Beach one. So it was like pretty more like chill. It wasn't like so. It's not the AX that we know of it as like now. It's like crowded and like just millions of people. Like it's not like that. It was way more chill. It was very like community driven, but they still had like voice actor guests and like animation companies and like voice acting studios and stuff like that. And there was so much cosplay there. There was a lot of cosplay. So that was my first exposure to cosplay. And I was like, oh wait, I wanna do this. So the next year, I put together a cosplay for Anime Expo, and I've been cosplaying at Anime Expo every year since then.
Every year?
I've never missed an Anime Expo since 2007. Like that is my pride.
Oh my god, that's okay. So what's so funny is I feel like the other person I've talked to that's had like a convention that they've been to every year since was Vivera Megan. She's been to A-Con every year.
Yeah.
Ever since that she started going to cons back in like 2000 and I think it was like 5 or something.
Oh, that's crazy.
So for you to have that record, I would want to keep that too.
Yeah, you have to like pick a convention. It just happened that AX was like my home base convention since I've grew up in LA. So yeah, that's been the win. And like even after I like moved to different cities, I'm still like, no, I have to like this is like my pilgrimage. It's like my yearly. I have to go to Anime Expo every year. I just have to. I can't lose my streak.
That's so fun. Do you have any friends from way back then that you connect with only when you go to Anime Expo every year?
That's so crazy. Yeah, actually, there are a few people who I have met by being at Anime Expo, like like convention friends, like people you've met only at conventions, like and I literally recently saw them again years later. Like I don't see them every year because Anime Expo is so crowded and we kind of like lost touch, but I literally saw them at SumiCon in Vegas. So I was like, oh my god, it's you. I haven't seen you in literally years, like literally like crazy. So that was a surprise. But I think that a lot of the cosplayers that I like looked up to when I started out cosplaying are like, I don't know if they're still like cosplaying anymore. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
think,
yeah.
well, I think a lot of the cosplayers, well, it's kind of funny how it all comes around because I feel like some of the cosplayers that when I first started, I looked
Mm-hmm.
up to, or like I looked at their videos online. At this point, I've either met them in person or become
Yeah.
friends with them, which is kind of
Yeah, that
crazy.
happened too. That's also like another aspect of like I've made so many friends through cosplay. It's unreal. Like like
Yeah.
90% of my friends are from cosplay.
Right, or like adjacently, right? Like, oh,
Yeah.
you have like a friend that maybe it's like from a convention that might be like an artist or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Like now that I'm doing more convention, like before when I started out, had like a lot of like, oh, we're like, cosplay friends. Like we were both doing the same thing. We both have the same hobbies. And now that I'm kind of like more doing boothing and like, doing like more convention side of things, I'm like, oh, I'm making more like artist alley friends or exhibitor friends or people who like run the conventions. Cause like now I'm dealing with like more of the back end stuff, not just
Hmm.
like cosplaying only. So that's been an interesting shift in my like
No, for
friend group.
sure.
Yeah.
What was your first costume that you wore the following year to Anime Expo?
Okay, so that was like the year 2008 was the year like Gurren Lagann came out. So that was my obsession. I loved Gurren
Uh-huh.
Lagann so much. So I cosplayed Yoko, and I am very blessed to have a mom who like knows how to sew. Like she actually went to school for design, like
Oh,
fashion design.
wow.
So she she had like sewing machines and sergers and like fabrics and like so she knew what to do. But like Yoko is not a difficult cosplay. It is literally a bikini top which I painted red flames onto, and then like black shorts and like a wig. And like the most difficult thing was probably I challenged myself to like make her prop. So I like made her like sniper rifle from scratch, which
Oh.
was that was fun. That was exciting.
Oh my gosh, wait. So that's while out the gate, you had like a professional seamstress just in your
Right?
back
Just
pocket and you
helping
were
me.
like, "Oh my gosh, wait, so you didn't have like the quite as busted journey at your beginning as most of us did?
Oh
Is that what I'm
no,
hearing?"
no, it's still busted because like my wig situation was not ideal. Like the first year I cosplayed, I just used like my natural hair, which is
Of
like not
course.
red. Of course,
Right.
as you do, because you don't know how to
Yeah,
wig.
as you
Where do
do.
you even buy a wig?
I don't
Okay.
know how you don't know how to wig at that point. You
No,
literally,
no.
yeah.
It's like my first year doing it. So I just tied up my hair up into like a ponytail and like did like the side bangs and like found a little hair clip to like in chopsticks. Like I literally it was so jank. And then like but like, I was so proud of myself and like, and people stopped me to take pictures, and that felt really really good, like the recognition of the characters, like, oh, you know who I'm cosplaying.
Right.
So and then the next year, oh my god, the next year. So this was crazy. Um there used to be a website called like Cosplay Paradise, or I don't know if you guys do you know what this is?
Oh, I
Cosplay
think that
Paradise.
sounds familiar.
It's like a forum.
Was it kind of like cosplay.com? Cosplay.com? Was it kind of like that?
It
Only
was
it
like
was
that. It was
different?
just like but it was a forum, and I think it was mostly like the SoCal cosplayers in it,
Okay.
because there was a lot of like discussions around Anime Expo and stuff. But there was a company who was kind of like looking for cosplayers to work at Anime Expo, because Gurren Lagann, the anime, had gotten so big that they gotten the voice actor for Kamina to come in from Japan to like for 2009 to like do autographing, and they were looking for cosplayers to like be at the booth. So this was literally like my first job, quote unquote job, as like a cosplayer. Was in 2009. I was the official like Yoko cosplayer for the Aniplex booth, and I was just
What?
like literally just I like for like 4 or 5 hours I was like standing behind the voice actor of Kamina and like taking pictures with fans, like as he was like getting like as he was giving autographs to people. So that was crazy. Like that was like
My
in my tiny
my
little brain.
my jaw's in my lap. Wait a
Yeah.
minute. So wait, okay. You had gone to conventions at that point for what, 2 years
Literally
at that
two
point?
years. Yeah.
And then this was maybe like what, like your second year cosplaying, maybe like
Yes.
a year and a half in, and
Yeah.
then literally they're like, "Oh, will you work at our booth and like be
Yeah. They're
our
like
cosplay like a mascot like brand
basically,
like."
yeah. It wasn't just me though. It was me and like three other people. So this is where I met Maguma, who is a pretty big cosplayer. He was cosplaying Kamina, and we were both working that booth, like cosplaying for
Uh-huh.
Gurren Lagann. So like that's how I met him. There was also like a Simon cosplayer and the Nia cosplayer. It was like the entire main cast. So it was like I felt so special. I was like, oh, I'm included in this. Like this is so cool.
Oh my God,
It was
that's
such a
so
big deal for me.
amazing.
Yeah.
That's so funny because I feel like I think most people's first experience with being either booked as a cosplayer or signed on to like work a con is with the convention itself, right?
Yeah.
Not like with a company. And yours is
Yeah.
you're kind of blowing all of the stereotypes from like cosplay
Yeah.
beginning out the water. It's like
It was just,
okay.
but it was such a random way to get into it because it was just like a random website, a random forum post. It was just like a casting call, just like, hey, we're looking for Gurren Lagann cosplayers. And I was like, I have a Gurren Lagann cosplay. I can totally just do it. So I like signed up, sent photos, and they're like, yeah, you come here at this time. We'll give you badges. And I'm like, okay, cool.
That is so sickening. Wait,
Yeah.
okay, that's what's crazy. So, how would you say that your experiences in the SoCal cosplay scene were different than the experiences you had when you came to Texas? Or I guess why did you even come to Texas?
Oh,
That's a better question.
Yeah, so I was in California. So I literally just started cosplaying in LA, and then I had to go to college in New York. So I left the LA community pretty like after like 2 years, like 2 or 3 years. I was like gone. I was in New York. So I did college in New York, and so then I became friends with like the East Coast cosplay community.
Oh my God.
And then I learned that New York is very expensive and like not for me. It's like
Right.
it's too loud. It's too loud. It's too like crowded. I am just that's not the type of person that I am. So I decided to like I need somewhere different. So I tried Texas and then I fell in love. It's like so much more peaceful and quiet here. I love the city that I'm in, and so I just settled down here, and like now I've been living here for like forever, and then I saw that there was like a lot of anime conventions in Texas. I was like,
Yeah.
I'll just go to a couple, but there's like more than a couple. It's like every month there's an anime convention here, like so
It's
many.
like every month or every other week sometimes in the
Yeah.
summer. It's
Yeah.
crazy. Wait, so you just said, oh, well, Texas seems nice. Or did you have any connections there? Like, did you know anyone in Texas?
No,
at that
I was
point?
just like, no, I just need to. I heard that it was like a pretty good place to live, and it was just like I haven't been there before, and I'm not afraid of like uprooting my life.
Right.
Yeah, so I was just like, I can't do LA because it's just as crowded and expensive, and New York is just, worse. So I was like, okay, I heard Texas was a good, cheaper place to live, and I moved here, and it was like, oh, it fit. It was like totally enmeshed with my like quiet personality because I'm an introvert. Like people don't realize I'm an introvert, but like totally I am.
No, I mean, people, I think the misconception with a lot of my friends too, especially the cosplay friends, because it's assumed that when you cosplay and you're putting yourself out there and you're taking photos, you're meeting people, that you must be extroverted. But the reality is a lot of people get their battery drained from doing that all day long.
So fast, so fast.
Yeah.
Like I need like usually when I work a convention weekend, I'm like I have like it's maxed out. Like it is like I spend all of my energy being present at the con that when I get home, like I just don't I literally don't speak for like days. Like I don't like my voice is just quiet.
Or
Which is fine with
recently
me.
you go to the Korean spa and just
I go to the
vegetate for
yes,
like
that has become my new fucking. This is my religion. This is my ritual now. Like I just look for the nearest Korean spa in whatever city that I'm in, and I just like sit there for like 4 hours in the hottest room that I can find, and I just like it's
gosh.
just so nice and quiet. My muscles are relaxed from the heat. It's just like I just want to be in like a body of hot water. Like that's just I love it.
That sounds so nice. You know, I
Yeah.
live near two in Dallas, like literally
There's
so
so
close.
many there.
I've never been.
Shut up.
I've
You
never
have to go.
been.
Oh my God.
No. Okay. Here's
Okay.
okay. I
gotta
literally
go.
want to go. I have to. And so I've even had like people like my cosplay friends in the area have been like, oh my God, I go there and it's like a full. I'll spend like 8 hours there. I'll go
I
to like
spend
the
an
food
entire
court.
fucking day there. Yes.
Yeah. I'll like.
Yes.
Oh my God. It sounds so ideal. I need to freaking go one
I know.
day.
It's like so worth it. Like the price, like because like you just pay for one admission and you're there. You can be there for up to 24 hours. Honestly, like
Oh
you
my
just
God.
there.
People
the
sleep
whole-
there.
Yeah, people. There are like lazy boy couches and there are like mats and pillows. Like people literally can spend like in LA. People literally spend the night instead of getting a hotel because it's like 24 hours and you can just spend the night there. It's
That's
crazy.
Fucking insane. Oh my
Yeah.
gosh. Okay. So I know that we met, I think. I
Mm-hmm. It was
think
so
it
long
was
ago.
I think it was at PAX South. I think you were in
Yes.
Rory Mercury.
Oh my God. I think most people in Texas know me from Rory Mercury because
Really?
that was my first Texas costume. And like that's how I met
Oh,
everyone.
oh my
Because like
gosh, that's
yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, because Gate had just come out. And so like back then I was like my thing was like I was really fast. Like if a new anime came out, I would be like I would try to be like the first person to cosplay that
Oh my
thing. I
God,
would
could not be me.
yeah,
I
I
could
know.
never.
Not now. Not now. That energy is gone. It was like it was back then. But like I would like finish a costume in like 2 weeks and like whip it out to the next convention. And then so when Gate came out, I was like one of the very few Rory Mercury cosplayers that was
Uh-huh.
like there. And I had made the axe that she has, the battle axe. I like made that shit from scratch out of wood, and it was huge and like very like so it was like a very like eye-catching cosplay. So I think that's how a lot of people from like Texas like started to like know me because that was like
Yeah.
my first big cosplay in Texas.
No, that definitely was the moment. And I had to go stalk a little bit because I was like I met Jenny when she was wearing a black and red dress with a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
axe. What was
Yeah.
this? And I literally was going back through the annals of time trying to
Yeah.
find what this
So long
was.
ago. Like when
It
did
was so
Gate
long
come
ago.
out? Holy shit.
I think this must have been like 2015 or
It
2016,
sounds
something like
right.
that.
Yeah.
No, I remember like PAX South was pretty fun, and I remember also I think it was in the grotto because I
Mm-hmm.
think that you were taking photos with maybe Long, but
Yeah. Oh my God. Mineral Blue. He was
yeah.
like he had opened so many. I'm like forever grateful for Long because like his friendship, like my friendship with him has opened so many doors to me. Like he introduced me to so many people, and he always like has me in all his videos. Like I am forever grateful for that friendship. Yeah.
No, I same here.
Yeah.
But okay, so also you are of South Korean heritage, right?
I am. I am
So
Korean.
and you've gone to Korea. I mean, multiple times since I've known you.
Yeah, yeah. Especially since I quit my job. Before I quit my job, I like never had any time to try because I was like a full-on office worker. Like I just
Hmm.
had like very little PTO. And you can't like just fuck off to Korea for 2 weeks, like when you're working an office job. But like literally, as soon as I quit my job, I've been taking multiple trips and like being able to see family there, which is like the best. It's so
That
good.
is so
I was
nice.
so disconnected from my family for years, so
Oh,
it's
really?
really nice to be able to like see them and stuff now.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that I mean, I can't imagine having my family in a completely different country across the
I'm
world, but
saying, yeah, it's
but
just
being
me and
able
my
to
mom in
go.
America.
Oh my God, oh my gosh, and so
Literally
here's the
just
thing.
the two of
For
us.
me, when I grew up, it was like me and my mom in Houston, and I was
Yeah.
like, and I felt like, oh my God, we're separated from our family in the
Oh my
Northeast.
god, it's just like a 3 hour drive. Yeah.
No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
that's so. Okay, have you experienced any of the cosplay scene in South Korea before?
Actually, I haven't been to any Korean conventions, but I have some Korean cosplay friends.
Mm.
I actually had dinner with Tasha from Spiral Cats, which was like really cool.
Oh my
Yeah, it
God.
was so she's so cool. I met her. I met her husband. It was when me and Stella went to Korea together, and
Mm.
we all had dinner at this like really fancy hotel. They had like the afternoon tea service. Like that was so
Oh my
fun.
gosh.
And then we just kind of strolled around like the historic parts of Korea. They have like fun like souvenir like very like touristy stuff, but like
Right.
like they had like fortune telling and like traditional tea shops and like that kind of stuff. So we did the fortune telling. That was really fun doing the fortune telling, like based on your horoscope, and like we just like hung out. Oh, we got noodles. Like it was such a good it was a good night.
Oh my
And
gosh.
I also met another cosplayer who lives in Busan. Her name is Koyu. And yeah, she's another like Korean cosplayer. She's so cool. She was very like very down to earth, very nice. Her and her sister both cosplay. Like yeah, I met a
Oh wow.
couple people, but I would love to go to a convention one day, like in Korea. I heard they're
That
really fun.
sounds. I would like to. I mean, I've never even been to a convention in a different country
Oh my
before, so
gosh.
that's like a
Yeah.
goal for me at some point. But I'll have to get recommendations because I'm actually going to Korea for the very first time.
No
It,
way.
like, yeah,
Yeah.
it's not. It's for work, so like
Okay.
take that as you will. Which is kind of funny because you were like, oh, I can never go anywhere because of
I
work, and I'm like, well, I'm going.
know.
But my
Well,
job's
my
weird.
job was one that did not include travel because I was a
Yeah.
financial analyst, so that was just like chained to my desk. I didn't like go to business meetings, like I was just like crunching numbers. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. So I need to get your recommendations for things to do in Seoul. I'm only gonna be there a very short time, but if you have like the one top thing I need to
go
see.
to Daegu. Oh, sorry, not Daegu. I'm sorry. Hongdae. Okay, so go to Hongdae. Hongdae is a neighborhood in Seoul. Just like how Tokyo has like neighborhoods like Shibuya or whatever.
Okay.
Hongdae is a neighborhood in Seoul, but it is famous for like shopping, all the cute cafes that you see on TikTok. That is all in Hongdae. They have like so many themed cafes. Like you walk down any street, you'll see like 20 cafes. They have like all these really cute like 24-hour photo booth stores. Like you just like literally the whole photo booths in Korea are like next level. Okay,
What do you mean? What do you mean?
Okay, so like imagine a storefront, like it's an actual shop. It's not just like a fucking like pre-Korea booth. Okay, it is like a whole entire store, and you go in and there are mirrors, there are curling irons and flat irons so you can like do your hair and fix your makeup. They have like cute headbands so you can like take, and like props so you can take pictures and pose with the props.
What?
Yeah, and like it's only $2. And
Wait.
yeah, it's $2. Wait, it's actually 2001. So if you convert that to American dollars, it's probably like $1.80 or something like
Oh
that.
my
It's like so
God.
fucking cheap. And they're 24-hour. There's no one there. It's just all CCTV. So it's you just self-service, and no one's bothering you. You can just go in there, and like they don't even care if you like vlog there or like take selfies without using the machines. Like there's beautiful lighting. There's like it's perfectly lit because it's like a selfie studio, and they have like these backdrops, and like oh my god, you can like, and you can Photoshop your photos at the end on their screens. Like it is like
What the heck?
it's a whole situation. It's amazing.
Have you shot cosplays in those studios before?
Oh my god, no. I feel like cosplaying in Korea in public is like way too embarrassing. There
You think
are
so?
cosplay I have actually rented a cosplay studio in Korea, and they are also next level. Holy shit. It is like a whole production. There's a studio called Studio Flame that I recommend if you are wanting to rent a studio in Korea. It's Studio Flame. It's right outside the city of Seoul. It's like maybe like a 45-minute drive, not too bad. You can get a taxi. And it is only $50 an hour.
What?
And there's like 4 or 5 sets per studio space, and these sets are insanity. There was like a glass stage, like plexiglass stage with LED lights, so it looked like an idol stage, like an idol performance.
Oh my
It looks like a
God.
fucking music video set, like no joke. And then in the same room is this like dystopian, like you know, like in I don't know, like imagine like a million computer monitors, like screens, and then like all these like cables and wirings and like a data server, but like it's all RGB, and it looks like so like dystopian and like punk. It's so fucking cool. And that wasn't even, and then there was another also in the same room, like this like spaceship looking white backdrop with like hexagon, looks like outer space. Like it was so freaking dope. So like all those 3 set pieces were in the same room, and you can rent that whole thing for $50 an hour. And then on
That's
another floor
wild.
they have like a Japanese like tea room with like gardens and fucking sands and like roses. Like it's so cool.
That's
It's so different from
crazy.
America. Yeah.
No, that is. So is it pretty prolific in Korea, or is
I
it?
think I'm not sure if I'm the right person to like answer that, because like from my like I guess just like as an observer, it's not everywhere. Like there are cosplay cafes. Like there are like maid cafes that exist, but they're not like in Japan where they're like everywhere. There's just like 1 or 2 in like the
Okay.
entire city. So it's kind of like low key. And there are anime conventions, but there's not a lot. There's like maybe 2 major ones in the year. And whereas like, you know, in America we have like one every month, like one every weekend, basically.
Right.
And there are some like figure stores, like there is like an anime figure store or like stuff like that. But I think the focus in Korea is more on like photo studios where people not necessarily cosplay, but they like get prettied up. Like the studios dress you, do your makeup, do your hair, so you can look like a K-pop idol, or you can look like a
Gotcha.
princess, or you can look like they have this studio that's like underwater photography where they like literally do your hair and makeup waterproof, and then they put you underwater, and they have an underwater photographer doing all your photos. It's crazy.
What the
So you can get like
fuck?
mermaid photos. That's popular, but like cosplay photo studios are not as popular. You know what I mean? But they exist. But like, people want like mermaid princess photos versus cosplay photos.
That's insane. Because when you were saying all this about the studios, I was thinking, oh, well, so cosplay must be pretty big. Because in my head, I'm thinking, why else would you go to these places? Because I mean, I'm not trying for the vanity to go to these studios and get my cute angles. I'm like, if I'm wearing a costume, but I guess it's just very different. The culture is different. The what people are looking for in the market, but. Yeah, no, that's really interesting. I love that though. That's you should definitely go to a convention and you should vlog it in South Korea and like take footage and like show, because I want to see at least vicariously.
Yeah, absolutely. I have a friend who does conventions in Korea, so I'm like, next one that comes up, fucking sign me up, coach. I want to go.
Absolutely. So okay, you talked about your not beginnings. Oh my gosh, your career as a financial analyst, working in an office. I do remember all the stories we used to get.
Oh my god, yeah,
about
like
the coworkers.
Like oh my god. So like on my private Facebook account, I just like, it's so hard to vent about this kind of, I feel like as a public figure, like I'm like, I don't want to
for sure.
ruin my Twitter feed with all these dumbass stories. But I'm like, oh, but my friends, they get to hear me bullshitting and complaining. So I used to, I was a financial analyst, and my coworkers, they be old sometimes. They be old. And I had so many people who are like, did not know how to use Excel. I'm like, some people, I'm like, how did you even get this job? Like, how did you get here? And I used to like, oh my God, I would literally just like, I wouldn't make up stories. I would literally just quote exactly the words that I have heard in the office. And they were, oh my God, they were so bad. They were so funny. I can't even remember some of them right now. I just remember how terrible they
were. They were hilarious. And like some of the things, so I feel like, I feel like working in an office or working for a company, you could have like imposter syndrome. Yeah. I feel like you had the opposite, because you were looking around and you were like, who are these people? And
I know.
How did you get here?
I'm like, how are you all so incompetent? And how did you, I was like, I don't know. Cause I'm like, I'm a good worker. I would just say that. Right. I'm really driven. And the reason I also quit my job was because it was too boring. Like I wasn't getting any engagement out of it. I wasn't like getting intellectually or anything stimulated. So I was just like, this is literally, I was like, I'm above, I can do more. I can do more with my brain, and I can do more with my skills. So I did quit my job. That was one of the reasons. On top of like wanting to pursue cosplay full time and having a more creative job, I was like, being a financial analyst, may look good on paper, but like doing the day to day is not fun. It's very boring.
What are you talking about? It sounds glamorous.
It's so glamorous. But now I'm like jet setting everywhere and flying all the time and like getting to meet new cool people like that. This is a very much more interesting job.
Oh, I'm sure. So you mentioned, I guess, obviously you didn't just decide one day, I'm going to quit my job and then flip a switch and then immediately start getting all of these gigs and being booked and everywhere, right? It was like a long path with seeds planted to get here.
It was like, so I was already getting booked for cosplay guesting while I was doing my full-time job. Like I've been boothing, I've been guesting, I've been doing meet and greets and stuff like that. And I've been traveling to conventions on top of doing my job, which was very, very stressful, because like I said, when I go to a convention on a weekend, it's like I put all my energy out there, and then during the week I just want to like be just dead, like just a ghost, right? Like just nothingness, right? I just didn't want to do anything, but like I had to like go to work every day and like talk to people and like do numbers, and I was just like, and then I don't have time to do the cosplay stuff in the daytime. I have to wait till I'm home when I should be relaxing and resting after a full day of work. I should be resting, but I'm now doing working on cosplays or working on social media or like editing shit, and I'm like, because I do my own photo editing too, so like it was just like too much all at once. So I was like, okay, well, I either have to slow down on my cosplay or I have to give up my job. So after talking with a lot of my friends and getting there, because I was so conflicted. This was like, I had so much anxiety. I was like, for months, I was like mulling it over and like thinking. I was like, when you have to like talk to your boss about something and you're like, you have like the anxiety heart.
Dreading
like, it's like constantly beating. Like that was constantly happening. Just like thinking about like having this conversation with my boss was like giving me like a bunch of anxiety. But actually, my friend Martin Wong, I attribute this to him. He was like, why? Okay, like he literally just sat me down. He was like, you are already doing the job. Like you're already getting hired, and you will continue getting hired. Why don't you just quit your job for like a year. A year is not a big deal. Just say, oh, you had some family problems for a year, and then you can come back. Like your resume will still be there, and the job will still be there. Like
wait a
Texas,
minute, that's such big brain energy.
Yeah,
like when you put it that way, because
it didn't seem like a big deal.
Right. Well, it's not like a permanent. Here's the thing.
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people don't realize: nothing in life needs to be permanent.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Like you taking the plunge to move from New York to Texas. If you hated it, you can just
go
move away.
back. Exactly.
Right. If you so with this too, it's like I know we're all ingrained, and the culture is such that you graduate college, you get a job, you're in a career, and you do that career
Until
or you have some type of job until you die, right? Until you retire at least. But but no, it's like because he made a good point. You can take a break and say whatever you want. You don't have to give an explanation. You could just take a break, and then if after a year it didn't work out, you didn't like it, you didn't find what you were looking for, you could go and easily either get rehired at the same company, given what you said about it, right?
Exactly.
or you could go anywhere else, and it's like, okay, I took a year off for XYZ. No one's gonna bat an eye at that.
No one is going to look like truly a year is not a big deal in the big scope of things. And I personally was like, oh yeah, I had some family issues. No one's gonna ask what your family. That's too personal. They're not allowed to ask you that. So I just said, oh, I had some family problems. I will be very busy and I cannot do this job properly considering those issues. So I just said I'm gonna take a break. And I even told them I might come back in a year, and they're like, okay, well, our doors are open, because they liked me. They didn't they were kind of pained to see me go. So I was like, okay, we'll see what happens in a year. And then a year passed, and I'm still doing this job. So I was like, all right, I guess I'm sticking to this. See how far I go.
About how long have you been doing cosplay full time as your source of income?
Oh my gosh. I'm gonna guess it's been 2 years, maybe 2.5 years, 2 years ish.
2 years ish, yeah. But then obviously you had been, like you said, starting to do. Technically you've been dipping your foot in this arena since 2009. If you want to get technical.
No, yeah. I mean, it was that one time I did in 2009, and then there was nothing for a long time. Yeah, and then I came back into it. But it was nice to have that experience.
Right.
Yeah.
No, for sure. And you started generally putting yourself out there, participating more in conventions, putting yourself on social media, and branding yourself even, which is something that's really difficult to do.
Yeah. I actually have a degree in marketing, which definitely helped because I learned so much so I wouldn't say college definitely helped me out. On top of giving me my marketing degree and learning about more business, having a more business mindset, since I went to a business school. On top of that, I did make so many friendships in college that has still lasted to this day, because I was the president of the anime club in my college. And that attracted so many, people who had the same hobbies as me, people who are in the community. And those friendships are still long lasting, to this day. Yeah.
Yeah, I know for sure. So what would you say? I mean, okay, obviously there's a certain sense of security of having being salaried, right? Having an income that's consistent. Yeah. And then obviously being self-employed has a lot of its own challenges. How would you say that you've been able to pivot and work in that self-employment environment, I guess?
I think that it helped to definitely it's risky. I would not recommend this for anyone unless they were in a good position. You don't want to be struggling financially day to day and then be oh, I'm just gonna be self-employed now. That's really hard.
Right.
I kind of waited until I got to a point where I knew that I would have a certain amount of income every month from all these different, because the thing about being a cosplayer is you don't get your income from one source, you get it from various sources. I do my own taxes. It's always just a shit ton of paperwork having to go through and track down oh, I get some from this place, I get some from this place. It's a little bit of many places, right? So I definitely waited until I was at a point where I was getting consistent income from the various places, at some minimum every month. So I'm very blessed to be able to say that I have that kind of financial freedom to be able to know that I will receive a certain amount of income every month, because not everyone who does cosplay for a full time can say that like confidently.
Right.
So that is a major struggle that people have. Just being self-employed is very, very difficult.
No, I mean,
In
I
general.
imagine the tax part of it probably isn't as hard for you specifically.
Oh yeah, because
But
I already knew what I do. Yeah, I did my taxes last year in 2 hours flat, so that was really good.
that's so crazy. Do you have like a
Yeah,
corporate
yeah.
card that you use for yourself?
Sorry.
Or like, do you have like a business card or something
I
like
do.
credit
I
card?
highly
Okay.
recommend if you are doing, if you are self-employed and if you are, you know, you trying to be a full-time cosplayer, get an LLC first of all, because you need to protect yourself legally. LLCs protect you and your assets and your like bank account. If anything terrible should happen, your LLC will like separate you, your personal stuff, from like the business assets that you have. So that's step number
Okay.
one, LLC. And then get a business card, not because it's like, I mean, if, theoretically, you could use a personal card for your business expenses, but then it just makes it a headache later on when you have to do your expense report at the end of the month or every quarter, whatever, however way you do it, because you're supposed to separate. You have to tally up, oh, this is how much I spent on business. This is how much I spent on personal. You have to separate those. So the only reason to have a business card is because it helps you, because all those purchases on the business card already separates itself. So when you're tallying your totals, you only have to look at one source. Versus if you're using your personal card, you have to look at one source and then like divvy up. This is personal. This is business. This is personal. So like it's just like an organization. From an organization standpoint, I highly recommend getting a business card. Yeah.
You mentioned being hardworking and organized, and I think that just is demonstrated by everything you just said.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
I can just imagine you sitting down like in your pajamas at the end of the month or
Yeah.
whatever, and like with your
Yeah.
Excel spreadsheets, and like, all
Oh yeah,
right,
yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh, I live off Excel spreadsheets. Yeah, I don't. People may know this about me, but I literally have an Excel. My Google Calendar is like obscene, obscene.
oh
It's just
yeah,
everything is color coded. I'm autistic, so I have everything set out, scheduled, broken down by the hour. Like I have my daily calendar broken out by hour, like what I am doing, even if it's just something as simple as like unpack your suitcase. Like there is a time slot for that, for like literally everything.
Is that to keep you
Yeah.
on track, or like
It
what's
is to keep me on
the?
track. It also like acts like as a to-do list. So once I finish a to-do list, I can, take it off the calendar, or I can, if I didn't finish it, I'll move that hour slot into the next day, so that I can know what I have to do.
God, this
Yeah.
sounds so next level. I think that, but I think that in order to actually adequately manage yourself, you
Yeah.
have to have like
You
at
have
least
to have some organization. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't know if
yeah.
people, I mean, I'm assuming there are people who are like the complete opposite of me and like live their life in chaos and are still able to succeed. Like, I'm sure that happens. I personally would not be able to thrive in that kind of situation.
No, so. What would you say is like one of the more challenging parts, less glamorous parts, I'll
Oh my
say,
gosh.
about being a full-time cosplayer, working out in the world, in these
Oh my gosh.
streets? Like, what would you say is like just one of the first things that comes to mind that's like,
Oh,
okay, if you could like change this.
I don't know if I could change this, but like being a full-time model is physically so draining. Like every single time, I literally have this giant, I post on my Instagram story, I have this giant ass bruise on my knee that's been there for like 4 days, and I don't think
Oh my
it's going
God.
away. It's like still
Was that
there.
was that at like level up? Where did that happen?
So this was, I did a photo shoot. Oh yeah, this was at Level Up. I did a photo shoot with the Atasha cars, but I
Oh,
was
okay.
on my knee. So like my knees are so busted after doing photo shoots for so long, because like I'm constantly like kneeling, or I'm doing like these impossible poses. I'm like holding a really strenuous pose for a long time so that the photographer can like, shoot the picture. Or like, you have to do like multiple takes of something that could be physically straining.
Yeah.
And then so like photo shoots are also like, they're hard, but like also like working a convention is also physically hard. Like a lot of the times, like people don't realize, like I wake up at like 7 in the morning, and then it
Oh
takes
yeah.
me like 2 to 3 hours to get into my costume. And then my call time is like at 10 a.m. when the hall opens. And then I'm working the whole day at the booth. And then the hall closes. And then I like have to get out of cosplay, which is like another couple hours. And then you shove food into your mouth as fast as possible before, oh, hey, I'm also a guest of the after party. So I got to go to the after party.
Oh.
And then we're up until 2 in the morning. And then I wake up at 7 the next day, do it all over again. So it is like physically draining just to like have like such a tight sleep schedule during conventions, and then like such a long work schedule, and then like you're not always eating proper meals throughout the day. So that's why like when I'm at home, like when I'm off a convention, I'm always like I'm very like I very stress out like making sure like my body is taken
healthy.
care of, you know,
Taken
like
care of.
yeah, like I eat vegan at home. I eat very clean. I go to the gym like every other day. I see, you know, I regularly see doctors. I regularly see a dermatologist. Like I go to the chiropractor. Like I'm making sure that my body is in like peak condition so that I can continue to like have those strenuous days and then it all kind of balance out.
Oh, I see. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So like you're kind of paying it forward throughout the week to
Yeah,
then
exactly.
destroy yourself on the
I'm
weekend.
destroying my body. But I know that it sounds like I'm like ragging on it, but I'm also like I am having fun. Like
Right.
I totally enjoy. I love my job. I would if I did not love this, I would be quitting it and going back to my much more lucrative office job, right? Because I don't get as much income doing this as I did doing an office job, but I am enjoying it enough and I have enough like creative freedom and like you know just happiness from it that I am continuing to do it. So I love it. I love it. It's
Yeah,
fun.
I think it's a balance because it's always about like, salary is one thing, but you do have to balance like how does your overall life look right now versus
Yeah.
how did it look before? And like
Yeah.
they always say like, oh, money isn't everything. It's like, okay, on one hand, you need money because you need money
Yeah.
to do things. You need money
We
to
live
live
in
your
a
life.
capitalistic society.
We do. So you have to be able to afford to travel, to see your friends, to enjoy yourself, to relax. But at the same time, there's definitely a balance with like, okay, well, there's a balance between like your personal happiness on a day-to-day basis and how healthy mentally and physically you can be versus just a dollar amount on a paper,
Yes.
right?
And that is like I love my mom. She always gives me like the best advice. She was like I was really stressing out about like there was a point when I was doing this full time and I was like, "Ooh, it's really really tight this month. Like I didn't get as much jobs as I was hoping for." And I was like, "Okay, maybe I'll like just do extra jobs next month or I'll take on more work or I'll take on more sponsorships or like other stuff." And my mom was like, like money really isn't everything. Like money will come and go. It's always going to be an ebb and flow. It's never, you can't. What's more important is your body, your health, and your happiness. Like if you are stressing yourself out, like it's going to show in your work. Like you're not going to be 100% there if you're like pulling yourself too thin. So, I always like try to keep like I know I take on a lot of work, but I try not to take on too much work. And there's a
Right.
balance there, and happiness is truly my number one concern over anything. It's gonna be happiness over money.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
I think it's like it's all about the balance, and I think I'm like the same way as you. I mean, obviously, I'm not leaving my career to go start become a cosplayer anytime soon. But also, it's like yeah, because I completely I relate to everything you're saying. Although
Yeah.
one thing I will say is that I think when you're saying you have to be in cosplay from 10 a.m. call time or even earlier because you're going to get dressed
Yeah.
to like all the way through the closing of the expo hall or whatever. I am thinking about when I'm in cosplay and I have the luxury and privilege to say, fuck this wig.
Yeah,
Fuck these
I'm gonna eat
shoes.
this off.
I'm eating this off. Whereas you're like trapped in this prison. if
Yeah,
you
I'm
will.
like I'm still at the booth. I'm
Prison
still
of
there.
wig fibers and like synthetics for like literally until you can leave.
Yeah.
But I guess one time, I guess the closest experience to that was I don't know, like generally at conventions when I'm a guest, at least for like when I'm judging costume contests and doing prejudging, I will try not to be in cosplay during that because like crawling around the
Give
floor
yourself a
and like
break.
doing all that, it's why are you in cosplay for like no reason to be in a
Yeah.
room for like 8 hours
And no
crawling
one's gonna
around the
see
floor?
you except for
no,
the contestants.
There's no point. There's no point. But there have been times where the scheduling has been tight to where I've had to be in cosplay throughout
Yeah.
prejudging and then immediately go to the contest, and that I
Ugh,
felt like
that's
was
rough.
akin to like kind of what you're saying, where
Yeah,
like you're
it's
talking
rough.
to people all day long, you're
Yeah.
in cosplay, makeup, wig. And then you
Yeah.
have to immediately you're in that you can't leave. You barely have
Can't
time to
leave.
eat. And then
Yeah.
you're at the end of the day, you're like a melted puddle of like foundation
But then you have to be
and
on
tears.
stage and like have
Yeah.
the most hype energy and like be aware and present.
Yeah.
That's exactly. I lose my voice so often at conventions because I'm literally like talking for 10 hours a day nonstop
Oh
for
my
3 days
God.
in a row.
Yeah.
So like it's not because I'm like drink. I don't even drink. I don't drink. I don't like yell. I just literally lose my voice from the sheer amount of talking that I do in such a short time period. It's crazy.
God damn. Yeah, no. I relate on that respect in like a snippet of the sense because I don't do it every weekend.
You have been there.
Yeah. Okay, I want to talk about your own podcast. So you've been doing a podcast for a lot longer than I have with Stella Chuu. And you've been podcasting about all things BL for how long have you, since 2020?
Oh my gosh. Has it been? I think it has been since 2020. I think it's been 2 years. We recently pulled up some statistics about our podcast. Hold on, let me see if I can actually pull that up right now because I'm interested because while pulling that up, how did you even like conceptualize doing a podcast in general? Because that's already an endeavor, but then two, specifically focusing on like BL and Danmei and like all of that. Like, happy to tell you. Yeah. So over the pandemic, everyone had not much to do. So, BL kind of blew up over the pandemic, not like Korean, like specifically Korean BL on Manhua and like webtoons, like that shit just blew up during the pandemic. And I was working from home because I was still having my office job during the pandemic, but everyone was working from home, right? So I would just and I'm very efficient at my job. I finished my work within the first 3 hours of the workday. And so the rest of my day, I had so much free time, so much to do. So I would just lay. I was too lazy to go all the way to my bedroom. In my home office, I put out a sleeping bag and I lay in my sleeping bag and I just lay there and I read BL nonstop for hours.
Oh my God,
I was obsessed. So Stella also got into BL at the time, so we were, exchanging stories, like sharing screenshots and talking about like some of the stories that we liked and like recommending stuff to each other. And then I got into Chinese BL, which is also called Danmei. And Chinese BL is so different from Korean BL because like a lot of Korean BL focuses on like modern times or like sometimes there's like supernatural stuff, but it's about like a lot of times it's about like these two gay college kids who like are in love, or sometimes it's an abusive relationship or whatever. A lot of stories are really dark. But like it's a lot of modern times, like, college kids, like, or whatever, adults. But Chinese BL, there's a whole genre of Danmei that has to do with like cultivation stories, and that's like it's like fantasy. It's like fantasy historical. So imagine like Lord of the Rings or like Harry Potter, but like in the past and like fantasy. Like they're like they have magic. Yeah, they have like, if you have ever seen like Crouching Tiger or Hidden Dragon or like any kind of like martial arts films, it's very focused on like martial arts, swords. They're flying through the air. Like they have like like chi. So but it's like that, but they're all gay. Like the story, and so it has like, it's like they're queer stories, but they're also like very, very fantastical and very, very dramatic. Like imagine having the Lord of the Rings saga, but the two main characters are queer, and it's and it's just as dramatic. Like it is, like it literally has me crying because there are so many, with fantasy you can do so much. Like you can have characters brutally murdered and then like come back from the dead, and like the love interest is like mourning them for 17 years because they were brutally murdered, and then they come back to life, and then but they're in another person's body because they're possessing someone else. Like it's so dramatic. It's so dramatic.
That sounds so dramatic, but also it's really interesting because I think that there's probably a misconception that a lot of BL as a category, the entire plot, story, and character themselves is just centered around them being gay.
Exactly.
But in this context, you're describing a picture in which these characters are so much more than their sexuality.
Yeah,
and the
it's just
stories,
like an afterthought. Yeah.
Right. The stories themselves are so fleshed out into these fantastical worlds that there's so much happening, but then like the subtext, the romantic level is all like, the boys fucking, which is delicious. Yeah. But like it's like it's the little dessert that you get, but it's not.
It is literally the dessert because in some of these stories they don't fuck until literally like 500 chapters later. Like it is fucking ridiculous. Like there's so much tension in the for like one of these books, it was like it's 5 volumes, and for 4 volumes they don't even kiss. they're just fucking staring at each other.
Are you kidding me?
And then they don't even have sex until the very finale. Like literally the final fucking chapter. I'm like, bro.
How very K-drama of them. Because
very
that's what
K-drama.
I can relate
yeah,
to.
It's
It's like always like the it almost.
Yeah,
but not
they're
quite.
just like flirting around each other, but they don't actually like talk about it because they're so bad at. There's so much miscommunication. It's very K-drama. Yeah, you're right.
I hate the miscommunication part.
Yes.
Of that, the trope of them being like, oh no, but then, oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm enraged. I can't even go off.
Like literally, one of the characters is like, "Oh, surely he doesn't like me because he's straight," and the other character is like, "I am so homosexual. What the fuck are you talking about?" Like, it is so funny. But yeah, the major the reason I love these Danmei stories is because, like you said, there's so much world building and there's some of them are like political dramas. Like the characters go to war. There are like families who have like beef with each other, and then they have to like figure shit out. Like there is so much more than just the love story. Even though the love story is very, very there, it's very present. It is also the main point of the story, but all the stuff that they have to deal with, these characters have to go through so much tragedy and so much hardship, and like to see them finally fall in love at the end through all their suffering, like that is what really is the highlight of these books. Like you just go on this huge journey with them. And so anyways, yeah, I started reading these Danmei fics, and I was like, I mean, oh my god, they're amazing, but they're really hard to get because they didn't have English translations of them. They were just online. People were fan translating them like for free. So it was really, really hard to find, and people were like hiding them behind locked Google Drives because they didn't want like the creators to get mad that they were distributing free copies of the books, like instead of paying for them. So I like found these, like just kind of like stumbled across them secretly, and then I was like, what the fuck, these are amazing. So I shared them to literally everyone who was on the BL train with me. Like I distinctly remember like Yaya, Han, and Jess Negri, and literally Stella, and like all these other like cosplayers. We had like nothing to do while
were they
the
thirsting
pandemic.
for it?
We were literally
for it?
We were fucking talking about BL all the fucking time. Like we were just like screenshotting horny photos and sending them to each other. Like this was literally what we did during the pandemic. It just FYI. Yeah. So then when I discovered Danmei, I was like sharing these. I was like, have you guys seen this? And not everyone was into it. Like I don't think like Jess was really into Danmei, but like Stella maybe it's because like she was like, oh my god, Chinese BL? Like she's like, I'm Chinese. So she hadn't seen these before. So she really got into them. And Yaya was already into them, like before I even introduced it to, like showed it to her. So
with her shrine in her room.
I know. She's oh my god. So we like really got into BL. We were talking about it, and then also at this time, I was super getting into podcasts, like listening to them. I'm a really big fan of like, oh my gosh, now I'm like Slash Filmcast or like Freakonomics or What's Good Games. I was like super into like podcasting, listening to podcasts and stuff like that. So I was like, oh my god, it'd be so fun if I could like do a podcast actually. And then after the pandemic was over, I was like talking with Stella. We were I think it was at Katsucon or something. Okay, so it looks like we started our podcast in 2023. So it's been like a year. And yeah, so it was like I think it was February of February 2023 at Katsucon. We started talking about like how much we love Danmei, and like wouldn't it be fun if we did a podcast? Like okay, maybe we actually do it. And so like immediately we had some friends who already had podcasts, so we like got advice on like what podcasting software to use, like what websites we should do. We set up like a website. And then we did it. We just started doing it, and some fun stats. Like, so 2 months into our podcast, we already had 11,000 downloads, which is fucking insane. So that was April 2023.
God.
Yeah. And then 1 year later, April 16, 2024, we now have 57,000 downloads, which is fucking insane. So
goodbye. Oh my
insane.
god.
That is such a crazy number. And the funniest thing is that there are people who come up to me at conventions now. They do not care that I cosplay. They are just interested in like, oh my god, I love your podcast. I love BL, and it's so cool to see other people like talking about BL or like obsessed with the same stuff. Because I feel like at this point, even though like my world is so encompassed by BL, it's not like a major thing. Like in the
Right.
wide for the
Oh
in
no,
the,
it's
in
not.
this
It's
in,
very
yeah
subversive.
it's
Yeah.
yeah. So like I think people are just so excited that other people are like liking the same stuff that they like, and so like even on so like Heaven's Official Blessing is one of the Danmeis that we talked about, and
Right.
they have an anime. It's on Crunchyroll, and in the comments of the Crunchyroll section are people recommending our podcast so that other people can listen to
Stop
them. Which is I
it.
think is what happened that like it got so big was because people were just like
Word of mouth.
advertising it for us for free like on Crunchyroll. So it got crazy, and like now I'm just so happy that people love BL. I'm obsessed. I literally read BL fanfiction like every night as a bedtime story. So like I'm just happy that other people are like on the same train as me.
I'm so gagged. Oh my god. So
Yeah.
my selfish question is, how did you keep the longevity of it? Is it just because like
Oh my gosh.
it's something that I guess I want to know, like, how did you
Okay.
keep going? Because I think I personally would like to keep this going and having these
Yeah,
conversations with
no,
people
I
for as
love
long as
this.
I can. But
I love this podcast and I love what you're doing, and I think it's like no, I love it, but I think the difference is that ours is not so much as an interview style as
Right.
it is a recap. So what we do is like so there are so many different Danmei novels, and they're very very long, which is to our benefit because now we can take our time going through each book chapter by chapter. That's what we do. We review each book chapter by chapter. We talk about how we felt about it. We talk about all the drama in each chapter, all the juicy little like little hints that readers might not notice that I have noticed because I've read the book 3 times. So, and we bring in our own cultural like information, like because like Stella is Chinese, I'm Korean. There's a lot of Asian influences in these novels, obviously. So like we can talk about like the different cultural aspects that non-Asian readers may not know about while they're reading the book. So
that's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah. So I think it's really, and then also our like other experiences like we just bring all our experiences into the book, and then we talk about it, and then we also talk about like different fan fictions that we've read, or like different like BL news that we've heard. Like it's very like more of an a review situation, more of like than an interview situation. But I would
Right.
love
No, for
actually
sure.
to do. Yeah, I would love to do interviews also on our podcast sometime. That'd be really fun.
Hey, you could probably reach out to some of them eventually and be
I
like some of
think-
like the creators and be like,
Yeah, we were even thinking because like I think we are like 2 degrees of separation away from some of the voice actors that are on the Heaven Official Blessing anime, like the American voice actors. So we're like, oh my god, we'd love to have them on the show sometime. So that's like a future goal.
They probably would. Honestly.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
that's so cool. I mean, it's really it's very inspiring. I mean, obviously, it does help that you both have like a large audience. But here's the other thing. Wait, time out. Here's the other thing.
Okay.
Is there a translation between your cosplay audience and your BL podcast audience? Because I feel like
Oh my gosh.
maybe my perception is that the translation would not be that large.
I don't
but
think
maybe
there
I'm
is.
wrong. Okay.
I think I think that I don't know, being a female cosplayer, like my audience is primarily male. Like
Right.
that just is a fact of life. But I think so, and then a lot of BL listeners are female, like mostly. So I don't really know if there is a cross pollination there. I think there are people who have listened to the podcast and then are like, oh, these people are cosplayers, and then start following our cosplay stuff, which is
Sure.
like the backwards. And then I don't know. I mean, I think there are a few people in my Twitch community specifically, because I feel like my Twitch community and my cosplay community are like 2 separate beasts. Because like my Twitch community is more like me gaming or me talking about stuff, and my cosplay community stuff is like, here are sexy pictures of me in costume, So I feel like there's a lot of cross pollination in my Twitch community with my BL podcast, because people who like know me, like I feel like Twitch is like the most genuine version of me, because like they get to see me as I am, like live and with no filter, like just speaking from the heart, versus
Like this, kind of.
like this, like a
Yeah.
podcast. Yeah. So like my Twitch, so versus like on Instagram, it's very like idealized. It's like the perfect images,
Yeah.
So I think people who are followers of my Twitch channel are like more in tune with how I am and like my interests. And of my interests, a lot of it is BL. So they also have gone into BL, or maybe already be into BL from there. and then they listen to the podcast. So that's always really, really cool. But I think most of our podcast listeners have absolutely nothing. Like the majority of them have absolutely nothing to do with our cosplay.
That's crazy. Because on one hand, it's like, oh, like your podcast is so successful, and part of that could be because you have these followings. But on the other hand, the followings that you have probably are not predisposed to liking that content. And it's like, and if it's only an audio medium and not a visual medium, it's like
it is,
right. It's like how much does that translate? So I thought that was really interesting. But no, I mean, I'll probably be hitting you up for like thoughts and advice as I go through season 1 and end up wrapping it.
God, yes,
I might like message you and be like, what can I do? Because I have like a website and everything. But anyway, okay. One more thing before our guest question, but self-shooting tips, because you mentioned like you do a lot of self-shooting, and I feel like beyond like the normal selfie where I have long arms, so that's nice. I can like get like, good angles that way. But beyond like the selfies I take, I've never self-shot before ever. And you do a lot of your photos like that. So what are some of your quick tips that you have for self-shooting just in general? Okay.
So very important, lighting. Get as big as possible of an LED light stick that you can manage. They are very expensive, but is an investment. And if you are a full-time cosplayer, it is a business expense. So get as big of a light stick as you can, because lighting is like 90% of the photo. If you have shit lighting, like your photo's not gonna look good. So I always try to like, and like I feel like as you get more advanced, you can play with like shadows and different colors and stuff. But just as a basic start, like just make sure your face is lit. Like even if your body isn't lit, make sure that light is pointed to your face, because you don't want any harsh shadows, and you want your face to be brightened up and lit up. So that because that's like that makes the photo. So
do you use your phone for most of the photos?
I use my Samsung Galaxy for all my photos. I wish Samsung would hire me, because I have evangelized this phone.
My gosh.
Literally
which one is it? What model is it?
I have the S24 Ultra right now, but I before was using the S22 Ultra, and I upgraded to the 24 recently. Camera is amazing, impeccable. But I have convinced Stella. Stella bought the phone on the spot after I showed it to her. And Nico did the same thing. Like they both went on Amazon and ordered the phone immediately after I showed them the specs of it, and they have not stopped using it since then. Like, so they have converted. They literally, and also Stella was using iPhone, and then she literally switched over to fucking Galaxy because of how great this phone is. And as a cosplayer, specifically the Ultra has a stylus, which I use as a clicker for photos, and I also use it for editing. So it's like a tablet.
Oh, no fucking way.
Yes. So I have an editing software on my phone for photos, and I do all the editing on my phone too. So I just use my little stylus. It's perfect for getting all the little details. It is literally a phone made for content creators. Like there is no other phone that could, like, the camera is amazing. That stylus like literally saved my life. It is, and it's the process, like, and the S24, the processing is so much better than the 22. I've been rendering like so many, because I've been doing like vlogs. I've been rendering all my vlogs in 4K at like 60 frames per second, and it's been totally fine. Like no crashing, it's so fast. I love it so much. I don't even use my laptop for editing anymore. I just literally just use my phone.
I am like speechless right now because you're converting me from my iPhone.
I'm Samsung, please hire me. I need to be paid like a stipend for literally converting so many people to this phone.
No, literally, honestly, like I don't know if they have like creator programs or something, but like if they had something like that you would be like the number one, because like your photos, you can take self-shot photos with a tripod and a light and edit them yourself, and you look like you took it from like a DSLR camera from someone that was actually back there.
It looks great. Like I'm not even using the back camera. Sometimes I'm using the front camera, and it still looks amazing. I definitely recommend using the back camera as much as possible because it is just a clearer image. But like if you're literally by yourself and you can't see anything, like use the front camera. It's totally fine. Just put it on the highest megapixel that it allows, because you can change the megapixel for the front camera. Like there's a setting for it. Just do it on the highest one. Set it on my tripod, and then I have a second tripod for my light to light my face, and then so that's like your basic photo, but then a lot of it goes into the editing and the color grading. I think learning color theory has been my biggest boon in editing photos, because like the coloring of a photo makes a really, really big difference on the quality of how it ends up looking. So,
for sure.
yeah, I highly recommend messing with the different color options on your editing software.
That's just crazy. 'Cause you had no photography like background professionally or anything like that, but like you
No,
learned all
I
this by like
almost
trial.
I almost wish I could. I actually would be very interested in taking a class because I feel like I could learn more than what
Mm.
I was self-taught. Because I feel like I know a lot from just trial and error, but like I don't know. I want to know what the experts know. Like I want more knowledge. So I would totally be interested in taking a photography class one day.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that sounds. I would too, honestly. I'd like to get better,
Yeah.
but no, so good. I just was like, I have to know some tips, and honestly, I think at the end of the day, it's like, oh, get a Galaxy Samsung
Get a
24
Galaxy S24
Ultra.
Ultra. It's like it saved my life.
It's like that's the way.
It is.
Okay,
Yeah.
so our guest question isn't really one specific question from one person. It's a culmination of questions that
Okay.
I've gotten that kind of I saved and kind of put together for this for you. And basically, it's all about cosplay and travel recommendations or hacks for going from state to state, con to con. Traveling with
Okay.
costumes is hard, right? Like we have
So
wigs, costumes,
hard.
shoes. Like when you have
I
to have
fucking
different
hate cosplay
shoes for
shoes.
each costume.
It's
Oh
the
my
worst.
god.
They take up a fourth of my suitcase space.
It's horrible. And
Genuinely.
then they're heavy too, and the weight limit too. Oh my God. So there's that. And then also you have to have your makeup. And for like me, when I travel, I mean, when I'm going on vacation, I don't bring like a big bag of makeup with me. I'm not doing my face. But like for cosplay, you might have to have makeup, different eyeshadow palettes, different
Yes.
contacts. Like,
Yes.
and also beyond all that with cosplay, you have to be prepared for like wardrobe malfunctions, right?
Yes.
Like things falling off, things splitting. So I want to know like when Jennybelly is packing to go and be a guest and work a convention in LA, Anime Expo, example,
Yeah.
what are some of your thoughts or precautions that you
Okay.
take into packing?
Here are my travel hacks.
Yes, tell them, spill.
I literally so I have been traveling this way for many years and I have never had issues with it because I compartmentalize everything. All my makeup is in one big bag and I always have it in that bag. Like nothing ever leaves it or put like that way I never forget anything. And then I have a separate bag for cosplay tools. So that includes a hot glue gun, extra glue sticks, super glue, extra wig caps, extra pasties, wig glue, hairspray, a little comb, hair wax. What else is in there? Double-sided tape for like, for costume sticking. And an Elmer's glue stick because sometimes you might need an Elmer's glue stick for your wig. So that is a whole nother pack that I have.
Is that always that pack of cosplay like supplies?
Yes,
Is that always
that's-
just together
I just
in
always
like your house?
have it there, and I always
Okay.
take it with me to every convention, and I never. Like the only thing I do is refill it if things go low. I never take anything out because I don't want to be like, oh, I forgot something because I took it out earlier. So I always have.
So if
that
you're like
in there.
crafting, you never just go in there and grab your hot glue gun out of
No,
that.
I do a second one. I always
Right.
have a travel version and then I have the at home version. So I sometimes have
Gotcha.
duplicates of things, but it's worth it because you never forget anything.
Mm-hmm.
So there's my makeup kit, my cosplay kit, and then I have another box just of like non cosplay things that are like, okay, now I'm going to a party. So these are like hairstyling tools, like hair accessories like scrunchies or hair clips or like ribbons or whatever. Also in there is like my regular toiletries, like my shampoo, conditioner, face wash, lotions, toothbrush. Like, so all of that is a third container.
You're like
And
normal, your
then-
normal necessities, right?
Normal necessities, toiletries.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. And then I also use garment bags for all my cosplays.
Oh,
So
okay.
I pack a full garment bag in my suitcase. So every garment bag has the entire cosplay and all the accessories, the wig, and sometimes if the shoes can fit in there, I will put it in there with it. So each garment bag has the entirety of the costume, including the accessories, any props, any wig stuff, so that when I hang them up on the closet, when I get to my hotel room, everything is in there. And then when I'm putting it on, I just pull things out from that one garment bag. Nothing is mixed up with the rest of my suitcase. It's not scattered around everywhere. It's all contained in the one bag. And then when I take off the costume, I put them all back into the garment bag, so that I can just roll that up and put it away in the suitcase. So I think separating, it does make the suitcase a little bit more bulky. It's not the most space efficient way
Okay.
of packing, but it is, I think, the most organized way in which I will never forget anything or have any pieces like left home because everything is already like in its like place that it needs to be.
Do you
If that
find
makes
yourself
sense.
taking, yeah, that makes sense. Do you find yourself taking like one check bag or two check bags? Like how big is your luggage normally when you're
Okay.
traveling?
I have I went to Samsonite and I asked them what is the biggest checked bag I can purchase. And this is actually quite expensive for some people. It might be like out of like this might not be, the best advice, but like
Uh-huh.
as someone who traveled so much, I have dealt with so many broken wheels, broken handles with my suitcases. I was like, you know what? I just need a one end
A
that's
workhorse?
yeah, I just need one thing that will fix it. So I got the biggest. This thing is monstrous. Like this thing when the handle goes up, it goes all the way up to my shoulders. Like it is
No.
so tall. But it is within the limits of international travel for check bags. So
Oh, okay.
um I compared to a regular check bag suitcase that I had before, I think it fits 20% more space and it's expandable. So whatever the $500 Samsonite suitcase is, that's the one I purchased.
Okay.
And in there I put all my toiletries, my cosplay stuff, my regular clothes, like all of that fits in there. Plus, and I have like 10% of space for anything I extra, and it
Right.
expands just in case. But if I am boothing, I will have a second smaller suitcase, not a check bag. It's actually a carry-on suitcase, but I check it because it's very heavy. Um, that has all my merchandise, like my prints, my stickers, anything I'm selling at a table, like banner stuff, like all that fits in like a carry-on suitcase, which I check. So I check two suitcases every single time.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But you could bring the heavier one on if you needed to.
I could use it as a carry-on if I wanted to, but genuinely that suitcase always ends up being like 40 pounds. I can't even lift 40
Oh
pounds
my
above my
God.
head.
Well,
Yeah,
you need
it's
to like lift it
so
into the bin.
there was no way for me to fit into the bin, and I think yeah, it's just too heavy. I don't want the bin to crack under the weight, so I always check it. It's just too it is too heavy.
Is that your fear? You're sitting underneath your
I
check bag?
genuinely, yeah, because I've seen videos of people like my friend flew. It was Stella actually. Stella flew United, and her luggage compartment on the overhead bin like broke, and I was like, I don't know
Stop.
how it broke, but I saw it just like dangling the rest of the flight, and I was like, that is not safe.
Have you seen the videos
Yeah.
of like the animals, like the snakes and stuff, and the like falling out of the overhead bin?
No. Oh my god, that is horrifying. That is
Okay,
a
I'm not gonna go
nightmare.
into it because you don't need to know.
Oh
With how
no.
much you travel, you don't need to know what's
Oh
up
yeah,
there.
I don't want to hear the horror stories, but I do also recommend if you are traveling a lot, stick with an airline and join their rewards program. I am on the Delta rewards program, and I've flown so fucking much that I've gone to platinum status, and that gives me 3 free checked bags per flight.
Oh,
So that has
okay.
definitely helped me in my travel situation. Just like having a frequent mile flyer program thing with one
Yeah.
airline. It may sometimes like, and it's kind of sometimes a sacrifice because like sometimes the Delta flight is way more expensive than like say a United flight or a
Right.
Southwest flight.
Right.
But like I think it all balances out considering that I will have free check bags and also like free food at the lounge every single time I
That's
fly.
true. That's
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Because it depends, and I feel like the sad part is that like I know at least for like Dallas, it's like American Airlines is the hub, and like
It
I think
is.
it's kind of like I have like a love hate with them as an airline, but like they're the one that goes like everywhere direct. So I'm like, well, am I
Gotcha.
forced into them because I live here? And I'm like, I don't
Right.
know because as of now, I'm kind of airline agnostic. I had a point in time where I was like loyal, and I got angry, and I was like, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm
Oh
done.
no.
But then again, like I feel like my personal travel, like how much I travel personally for like cosplay or a vacation is a lot less than how much I travel for like work. But I guess I could
Okay.
combine them and do one for both. Maybe I don't know.
Could,
I don't
yeah.
know.
I mean, if you feel like you're gonna fly American a lot, I would just like stick to them for even personal travel, just because it would like, I mean, American has lounges, and
They
they
do.
have travel perks. Yeah. So
They yeah.
I find myself like I'm loyal to Delta. Like even if I have to do a layover, I'll do Delta.
In
Because
Atlanta, usually,
yeah,
right?
I usually fly to Atlanta before I go to like New York or whatever. But I don't care because I will get free lounge access, so that's like a free lunch right there instead of having to eat airport food.
Oh, hell yeah. Like
Yeah.
I know I've had well I have like a credit card that does that. And with Delta
Yeah.
actually, if you're flying Delta, you can go to their lounge, which is nice with the when I have,
Yes.
but it's like actually being able to like eat especially
Yes.
before like a long flight or a late flight where you don't have guaranteed
Yeah.
food when you get there, or like on the
Exactly.
plane
Oh my
itself the
God.
food could be shit. And so
Yeah.
it's like being able to not have to rely on that is actually really nice, and that is a value that is outside of the ticket cost. So
It is. It is. It is. I think literally the amount of free food that I have eaten flying has balance out the amount that I am paying for the ticket, because like
Yeah.
because I have sometimes when I have layovers, that's like I eat at the lounge when I land, or when I get to the airport, and then I eat
Okay.
at the lounge at the layover, and then on the return trip I do the same thing. So that's 4
Mhm.
meals that I eat every single time I fly anywhere. It's just it's worth it. And
It's true.
the 3 free check bags, even on international flights I get 3 free check bags. So that
That's
definitely
crazy.
helps. Yeah.
And then with the shoes, do you have a different pair of like shoes? Like, okay,
Oh
so
my
here's the thing for
gosh.
me. Oh my God.
Yeah.
So, okay, I feel like in an ideal situation, you would have like one pair of shoes and then have boot covers that go over every one to make them
That
like,
would make sense.
oh my God.
It
But
would.
the reality is though that so many of these characters do not have shoes that can accommodate that type of
It's
situation.
so true.
So what do you end up just I end up just bringing a bunch of shoes and being
I
angry
end up
'cause
bringing a bunch of shoes. Literally, like for Level Up Expo, I had 4 pairs of shoes in my suitcase. Like I had 3 different shoes for the 3 different cosplays, plus my heels for the after party, and then I was wearing my normal walking shoes
Yeah.
on the flight. So my personal thing is like I no longer care about shoe accuracy when if I am boothing, I do not care about shoe accuracy. But if I am doing a photo shoot, I definitely care. So it depends on like
Gotcha.
where I'm traveling to. If I'm doing just a travel for a photo shoot, I will bring all the shoes. But if it's like, I don't know, if I'm just boothing and doing a meet and greet, I'll just bring whatever shoe is the most equal to all the cosplays and try to like
Right.
minimize. Yeah.
And mildly
Minimize.
comfortable, I'm assuming, because you're standing at a booth for like 8 hours a day.
That's true. Oh yeah, my hack for local because I can't do this for like if I'm flying out to a convention, but I have a memory foam mat that's used for standing desks, and I just travel with that to any like Texas convention, and I just stand on that like like when I'm at a con.
What?
Yeah, when
Was
I
that
do
at
meet and
WeebCon?
greets.
Not WeebCon. Oh my God, Nishi Fest?
Yes, you might have seen it at Nishi Fest. I had,
No,
like, a
I
pink-
didn't.
Okay, yeah. I have a pink memory foam mat that's used for standing desks, and I literally just shove that into my car. It's huge. It does not fold, so it's just like a flat 3-foot long mat that doesn't fold because it's like really, really thick and sturdy. But it's so comfortable. It's really helpful for like feet support, especially for like I said, standing for a long period of time.
Yeah.
So I always try to travel with that if I'm doing a local con.
That's so crazy. Oh my
Yeah.
God. Well, thank you for bestowing upon me
Oh,
and
yeah.
the audience the travel
Yes.
information from one that travels like what? Probably like every other week you're on
Oh
a
my
plane.
god, I've traveled. Oh my god, so literally this past 2 months, I've traveled every weekend, like 8 out of 8 weekends this past 2 months. It's insane. That was actually crazy.
My God.
Actually crazy. Yeah. I
Yeah.
don't think I'm gonna do that again. That was rough.
And here I am. I'm like, oh my God, I have so many conventions this summer, and I'll have like what 4 conventions in the summer, and I'm
Oh
like,
my
I'm so
God.
taxed, and you're here like,
Oh my gosh.
I never stop moving.
I
My
have
body
not.
is being flung around from
It is.
place to
I'm
place.
through the air, all these planes. Yeah, no, but it's
Oh my
fun.
God.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for coming
Thank
on.
you.
I like honestly like I think one goal, and I hope that you felt this way too.
Mm-hmm.
I want to have this podcast just because I wanted to have a cosplay interview style podcast that people could listen to while they're like driving, sewing,
Yeah.
going to work,
Working on cosplay.
working on cosplay, doing whatever. But also, it's kind of self-serving for me because it has put me in a position where I've kind of been pushing myself to actually engage with my friends that I've had for so many years, but time just goes by and you miss them.
That's so true.
And for me, I've like been making, I mean, season 1, it was a very concerted list of people that I was, had pretty long friendships with, have been very familiar with for quite a while, and could have these easy conversations to kind of ease me into it.
Mm-hmm.
But I also feel like it's put me in a position where like I'm actually going outside my comfort zone and trying to kindle relationships and friendships with people that I've met before but don't know that much about. So
Yeah,
I
no,
think
yeah.
it's dual serving from that respect, but people like you and like friends that come on the show and support this by just doing it and having a good time with me for an hour and change.
I
I
loved
really
this.
appreciate
It was so much fun. It was like really, get to know each other better. Because
Yeah.
usually at a convention, it's always like a hi bye or like a quick dinner or something, but you don't really get to have any deep, meaningful conversations in those kind of settings. So I love this. This is my bread and butter. I love having deep conversations with people and getting to know them better.
I'm so happy. And thank you so much for coming on. And maybe down the road, I don't know what the future of the show is gonna look like. I mean, ideally, I'm doing seasons that way I don't get burnt out and I can take breaks.
Oh, for sure, you need to take breaks.
Right, but I think that maybe we'll have like a reunion or something. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
That'll be fun. Yes,
we'll
please invite me on again. I'd love to like check it and see how things have changed since.
Yeah. Oh, and then also Cosplay Crunch Live might be happening at a convention near you.
Okay. Oh my god, I would love to be a part of that. Please tell me.
Because literally, I think we already have some conventions that are like, oh, is there gonna be like a live version of this? Like for when I'm like a guest there, and like the panel would be like, we'll see. But
okay, let me know when conventions. I'll make it.
I'm so excited. We'll see. It can go anywhere. We'll see what happens. But anyway.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go through a little outro and then come to you at the end.
Okay.
All right. I'm happy I didn't fuck up the intro this time. That was actually a proud moment for me.
So
last episode, oh my god, hot mess, girl.
Oh my gosh.
Okay. Thank you for joining another episode of the Cosplay Crunch. If you would like to ask a question to one of our guests, please email us at cosplaycrunchpod@gmail.com. You can also follow us on Instagram at Cosplay Crunch Podcast for the latest news and announcements, as well as on cosplaycrunch.com and on YouTube at the Cosplay Crunch Podcast. This will actually be posted on YouTube in like an audio format if you'd prefer to listen there. Also rate us, please. Downloads help, as Jenny mentioned before, with pushing it to new people, because we want all of the cosplayers and cosplay appreciators of the world to hear this show. And then rating also helps, I believe, as well. And you can only do that on mobile, I believe. I think, right? I don't think you can do it on your computer.
Yeah, I think you can rate it on Spotify mobile.
Yeah, I think only on mobile. Though. I don't think you can do it on your computer. But anyway, Jennybelly, do you have any parting words for our listeners? And where can they find you across all your platforms? Please list them.
Okay. I am on Instagram at Jennybelly Cos. My Twitter is also Jennybelly Cos. But actually, I found out recently, if you just Google Jennybelly, I just pop up everywhere.
Oh, bitch.
I am on the Google algorithm now. Hell yeah, bitch.
She's like, oh, just Google me.
Just Google me. You'll see it. Like straight up, if you Google Jennybelly, you'll see all my socials. But thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun. I hope this was very like enlightening to some people who like may not know what it's like being a cosplayer full time. And if anyone ever has any more questions for me, I love answering questions like on my Twitch channel. I stream on twitch.tv/Jennybelly, and I love literally people have been like, hey, I'm trying to make this cosplay. Like, how can I do this? And I just like walk them through it like live on stream.
No, good avenue. Yeah. Go to her Twitch, participate and answer questions there. And also on your Instagram, you've been posting recently day in the life of a professional cosplayer. Which has been
forgot
really
to mention.
Yeah,
I've been doing vlogs lately. Yeah. So they are on my Instagram, but I think they're also easier to find on my YouTube channel. So if you just look up Jennybelly YouTube, you'll find my YouTube channel. And I just accumulated all my vlogs onto my YouTube. So if you want to see what it's really like, I do vlogs for every day of the convention that I do. I do a day in the life. And thank you so much for mentioning that, because I totally forgot to mention it, and it's been my passion project lately. So yeah.
No, of course. But yeah, no, thank you so much again. And until next episode, we will see you later. Goodbye.
Bye. Yay! Yeah, that was so fun.
I'm so glad. The Cosplay Crunch podcast is hosted by Zavage Cosplay, with post-production also by Zavage Cosplay. Original theme music by Katie Fairbanks. Logo and graphic design by Owl and Coffee.